So innovation is clearly the way in which everybody can be, every individual can be given this opportunity to show what they can do, to translate it into an improvement of their respective lives and those who are around them. So thank you very much for that. As promised, I turn to our wild card, the Director General of WIPO, Francis. Any additional word of wisdom for us, please?
Thank you very much, Bruno. Thank you very much, Bruno. After that summary, I think it's wonderful summary. Let me just make one comment, if I may, because Rolf Dieter has, I'll exercise my wild card against Rolf Dieter. I don't at all disagree with his point about the placing far more emphasis in the index on basic science. In fact, I think it's an indispensable thing to be doing, and it is the source of substantive innovation. But let me just remind you, if I may, that intellectual property is a very flexible instrument. It's a very flexible instrument. So, for example, had the World Wide Web been able to be patented, and I think that's a question in itself, perhaps the amount of investment that has gone into or would be able to go into basic science would be different. So if you had found a very flexible licensing model in which the burden for the innovation of the World Wide Web had been shared across the whole user community in a very fair and reasonable manner and with a modest contribution for everyone for this wonderful innovation, it would have enabled an enormous investment in turn in further basic research. And that is the sort of flexibility that is built into the intellectual property system. It is not a rigid system. It can be used in a vast variety of manners in which to encourage innovation. And indeed, one of its other roles is the sharing of knowledge, because it has put together the most accessible and systematic record of humanities technology. And the example I like to use is of the saxophone, which is the only instrument in the classical orchestra that has ever been patented, and it was patented in 1842 by Adolf Sax. And over the ensuing period of 30 or 40 years, a number of improvements were indeed patented to the sax by Adolf Sax himself, but by a number of other inventors, improvements in the mouthpiece. We ended up with a much better saxophone, which fell into the public domain over 100 years ago as a piece of technology. And you can contrast that, of course, with the violin, where nobody knows how the violins of Cremona in the 18th century were made, because the secret was lost as it was passed in secrecy from family to family and not disclosed. So yes, I agree with Lynn. The first version of the World Wide Web would have perhaps been routed around, as you say, or invented around, but that's part of the purpose of the patent system, is to disclose the knowledge and enable others to build upon that knowledge. Thank you.